The stars above Earth twinkled in silent patterns, ancient and eternal. To most, they were distant lights, beautiful but unreachable. To humanity, they were a challenge, a call to something greater than themselves. For centuries, humans had looked up at the night sky, dreaming of what lay beyond. Most other species dismissed these dreams as foolish. Humans were weak, slow, fragile. They did not possess the strength of the Growlnians, the speed of the Xipharians, or the centuries of perfected technology that other species used to dominate their corners of the galaxy. But humans had something else, a fire that refused to die, a cleverness that thrived where others relied only on brute force. On the bridge of the Odyssey, the first human ship built for interstellar travel beyond their solar system, the crew worked in quiet anticipation. The ship itself was small compared to alien warships, but its design was brilliant in its simplicity. Every panel, every engine, every interface was built to think with the humans, not just for them. Ships in the galaxy were often tools, machines operated by those who commanded them. The Odyssey, however, was almost alive in its responsiveness. Captain Myra Holden stood at the central console, eyes scanning the projection of the stars before them. Her hands hovered above the controls, not because she needed to touch them constantly, but because she liked to feel the pulse of the ship. The crew was small, only 12, but each one was chosen not just for skill, but for their ability to think, to adapt, to see solutions where others saw walls. They were humanity's best hope, not for war, but for discovery, for proving that humans were capable of more than anyone had imagined. "Distance to Xiphara Prime, 10 light years," said Jalen, the navigation officer. His voice was calm, though the tension in his shoulders betrayed him. Every calculation had to be perfect. Even a minor misstep in interstellar travel could mean disaster. "Speed stable," added Liara, the chief engineer. "Jump drives calibrated, all systems green." She smiled faintly, a mixture of pride and nervous excitement. The Odyssey was humanity's secret weapon, not because it could fight, but because it could outthink anyone in the galaxy. The human crew did not underestimate what awaited them. They had studied Xiphara Prime, the jewel of the Glorvian Empire. It was a world of unmatched beauty and power, a planet that had never been threatened by any species. The Glorvians themselves were tall, slender, and proud, their skin shimmering faintly under their sun's light. Their cities reached into the clouds, machines humming with energy humans could only dream of harnessing. To them, humans were nothing more than quaint myths, legends of a primitive species that might someday crawl beyond their home planet. Myra inhaled, steadying herself. "We've trained for this," she said quietly. "Not for battle, not for conquest, for understanding, remember that." That simple truth that human ingenuity could challenge centuries of arrogance was enough to keep them focused. Below, in the high towers of Xiphara Prime, the Glorvian High Council gathered. The chamber was vast, circular, and filled with holographic displays of the surrounding space. The councilors were confident, even smug. Humans, a minor species barely capable of reaching orbit? Impossible. "Nothing yet," said Councilor Thrin, his voice carrying the weight of authority. "Our scanners show no activity. It seems the human myths are still just that, myths. They are slow, weak, and careless. No species could prepare a journey across light years without centuries of experience." But not all were so sure. A young engineer named Leixar had quietly observed the humans from the shadows, fascinated by their creativity. "They are unpredictable," he murmured to no one in particular. "Their methods are strange but effective. Perhaps we should not dismiss them completely. The galaxy does not concern itself with humans." Inside the ship, the crew shared stories of Earth, of the ingenuity that had brought them here. They spoke of machines built from scraps, of problems solved by thinking differently, of obstacles overcome not by strength but by persistence. Humans had endured plagues, natural disasters, wars, and scarcity, and yet they had survived, grown, and learned. That history, etched into every human mind aboard the Odyssey, gave them a confidence alien species could not understand. Myra paused at the observation window, looking at the stars stretching endlessly in all directions. "They think we cannot come," she said softly. "They believe in their power and laugh at us, but they do not see what we see. They cannot imagine how far a species can go when it refuses to give up. Observation first, no rash moves." The alien technology was astonishing, yet humans found flaws, small weaknesses, places where creativity could achieve what brute force could not. Below, the Glorvian Council continued their casual dismissal. "Still nothing," Thrin said. "No threat has approached. Humans are incapable of reaching us. They do not rely on tradition. They may be clever than we think. Every calculation, every observation, every action was a demonstration of human adaptability, the kind of brilliance that came from necessity, from facing impossible odds and surviving. And then the first ripple of disbelief began to spread across the Glorvian Empire. A censor report flashed in the council chamber. "Sir, an object, it is in orbit. It shouldn't be here." The thought that they could now be so close, so capable, so alive shook the very foundation of their arrogance. Back on the Odyssey, Myra glanced at her crew. "We're here," she said softly. "No one expected us. That's exactly where we need to be." And in doing so, they proved something no alien intelligence had predicted, that humans were resilient, clever, and unstoppable in ways others could not even imagine. The Glorvians would soon realize that arrival alone could be more powerful than any weapon. Humans were not a threat to conquer. They were a force that challenged assumptions, shattered expectations, and demanded respect. Myra turned to her crew once more. "Observation first. Learn what we can. They will not understand our methods, our patience, our ingenuity. That is our strength." The legends had been true, and yet nobody believed it would happen. The first step had been taken. The impossible was no longer impossible. Humanity had arrived, and the universe, for the first time, began to take notice. The Odyssey hovered silently in the orbit of Xiphara Prime. From below, the planet gleamed with spires of crystal and steel, towers reaching into clouds that shimmered with alien technology. The humans observed quietly, their ship almost invisible against the backdrop of the atmosphere. They had no intention of alarming the aliens, at least not yet. Their goal was knowledge, understanding, and demonstration. And as far as humans were concerned, actions spoke louder than threats. Inside the bridge of the Odyssey, Myra Holden paced slowly. "We are being watched," she said, her voice steady but thoughtful. "The Glorvians know we are here. They may be panicking already, even if they hide it." Sensors indicate multiple energy signatures activating in the upper sectors of the planet. Shields, communication relays, defensive systems are online, but none of them are firing. They are alert but confused. "We will observe, understand, and respond intelligently. Our advantage is in thinking differently, solving problems no one else can, and turning obstacles into opportunities." They only needed to demonstrate ingenuity where others relied on routine. Meanwhile, on Xiphara Prime, the council gathered again. The chamber buzzed with energy and conversation as Councillor Thrin gestured angrily at the projection of orbiting anomalies. These intrusions, how is it possible? No species can arrive here without detection." "Our calculations are flawless. Their ship is small and it does not carry weapons. But they clearly understand energy manipulation, and their calculations are precise. They may be capable in ways we cannot predict. Our outer arrays show no interference. Our satellites report anomalies in their systems, minor shifts in energy fields. They are doing something we do not understand. If they are, we will simply press the forbidden button. That will end this discussion." Its activation was considered a last resort, a move of desperation so absolute that it could rewrite the balance of the galaxy. Leixar's eyes flickered with unease. "Sir, the button is unpredictable. Its legend is true. We may not survive if it is pressed. Perhaps we should seek alternatives before resorting to it." "Humanity cannot be allowed to persist. Even if their ship is small, they have already reached us. That alone is proof of their audacity. Press the button if you must." They did not land or engage, but their probes transmitted signals designed to analyze planetary energy flows, architecture, and societal structures. The crew worked in harmony, their actions precise, almost instinctive. Every calculation was done not only to observe, but to demonstrate their understanding of systems the Glorvians had perfected. Myra stood before the observation window, watching towers of crystal rise into the sky. "They underestimate us," she said. "They think only in terms of strength and fear, but humans excel where strength fails. Creativity, adaptation, patience, these are our weapons. These are the things no alien race can predict or control." Sensors show movement within their council chambers. They are curious, uncertain, perhaps even afraid. Their arrogance blinds them, but it also works in our favor. The Odyssey's technology was subtle but brilliant, pushing limits in ways the Glorvians had considered impossible. It was not just a matter of skill, it was innovation beyond precedent. Lexar watched in fascination as energy signatures shifted in patterns he had never seen. The humans had bypassed defenses without destroying them. They had analyzed systems without triggering alarms. And yet the Council still did not fully understand the implications. "They are showing us possibilities we have never imagined," Lexar whispered. "Our technology, our defenses, they are being understood, repurposed, analyzed. They do not fight, they improve. The forbidden button will ensure our safety. If they reach any further, we will activate it. That will end this." They did not interfere destructively, but examined weaknesses, recalibrated systems for efficiency, and transmitted data back to the crew. Jalen smiled, observing the readouts. "They think we are a simple species, incapable of precision. Yet every system we touch, we understand, adapt, and improve. They cannot anticipate human adaptability. They do not think like we do. And that is why we survive. Not because we are the strongest, fastest, or most powerful. Because we learn, we adapt, we persist where others fail." No human had issued threats, and yet the mere presence of their ingenuity was enough to challenge centuries of Glorvian certainty. "Perhaps we should communicate," Lexar suggested. "They are demonstrating skill, not hostility. If we attempt dialogue, we may learn from them instead of destroying ourselves with the button. They are humans, weak, fragile, primitive. We do not negotiate with the weak." Myra instructed the crew to deploy a larger, more advanced probe into the heart of the planetary energy system. The goal was simple: demonstrate human capability without causing harm. The probe entered the complex grids, streaming data that allowed the humans to map the planet's energy flow in real time. Liara adjusted her console. "They are expecting intrusion or sabotage. They do not expect understanding. They cannot process observation without aggression." Counselors shouted, demanded answers, and debated pressing the forbidden button. Lexar continued to plead caution, explaining the unknown consequences of such an action. "This species, they operate beyond patterns we recognize," he said. "Even if they seem weak, their understanding and creativity surpass expectation. They will not be defeated by force or fear. They have reached us. That alone is audacious. We will not allow them to continue. Prepare the forbidden button. If necessary, we press it." Some members whispered, observing the humans with growing awe. They had not fought, they had not demanded. And yet the aliens could not ignore their presence, their ingenuity, their audacity. On the Odyssey, Myra glanced at her crew. "They are debating. They do not understand what we are capable of. That is our advantage: observation, understanding, and action without aggression. That is what humans do best. Our minds are our greatest weapon." And the Glorvians, for the first time in centuries, faced a species that could challenge their assumptions, that could make them doubt their superiority, that could inspire both awe and fear without ever raising a weapon. The forbidden button loomed in legend, but even that seemed less powerful than the presence of humans who understood, adapted, and thrived where others relied on routine and strength. Myra looked at the glowing planet below. "They do not see it yet. They cannot. Humans have arrived. They have reached the impossible. And they will continue to show the galaxy that intelligence, creativity, and courage are more powerful than fear or weaponry." And somewhere in the council chambers, a few voices whispered doubt for the first time, acknowledging a truth they could not yet fully comprehend. Humans had come, and they were nothing like the legends had warned, or the council had expected. The Odyssey had settled into a stable orbit over Zyphara Prime, but the humans were far from idle. Their sensors scanned the planet's energy systems, communication networks, and infrastructure. What they saw was astonishing: centuries of alien design perfected for efficiency, yet layered with complexity that was sometimes counterintuitive, even cumbersome. Humans did not judge it as inferior. They simply saw opportunities. Myra Holden stood at the observation window, watching the shimmering towers and the flowing currents of light that pulsed like veins through the planet. "They are brilliant," she said softly. "But brilliance does not mean perfection. There are patterns, weaknesses, and solutions they have overlooked. That is where humans excel. We don't need weapons to prove ourselves. Every problem we solve here, every system we understand is a statement. They will see it. They may fear it. But we are humans. We solve the impossible without needing to fight. I'm suggesting we send in a second one, slightly larger, capable of interfacing with more complex systems. Not to interfere, but to learn and demonstrate." Tiny in size but immense in capability, it slipped past alien sensors as if it were part of the atmosphere itself. Within moments, it was interfacing with energy relays, analyzing, calculating, and proposing optimizations. It didn't touch the systems destructively, it simply understood and improved. On Zyphara Prime, the Council noticed anomalies immediately. Energy readings shifted slightly, not threatening the planet but subtly more efficient than before. Some counselors argued that this was a glitch, a minor adjustment caused by faulty equipment. But Leixar, the young engineer, had already seen the pattern. "They are manipulating the systems," he whispered to a colleague. "Not to harm, not to sabotage, but to optimize. Their logic is different. Their approach is intelligent." Some feared the humans, interpreting their actions as a prelude to invasion. Others, like Leixar, recognized a different truth. Humans had arrived not to conquer, but to show capability. The debates grew heated. Back on the Odyssey, Myra watched the probe's progress. Data streamed in real time, showing connections, flow optimizations, and inefficiencies previously overlooked. The humans began communicating with the probe directly, adjusting its algorithms in ways that allowed it to learn from Zyphara Prime's systems while improving them. Liara leaned back in her chair, impressed. "They have perfected these systems, but they never considered adaptability. We can introduce solutions that enhance efficiency without damaging structure. They won't understand how we are doing it until it's already done." Pressing it could destroy the planet or worse, but some counselors felt desperation creeping in. The humans' abilities were undeniable, and yet no aggression had occurred. That indecisive power was more frightening than any weapon. "They are in every system we have," Thrin snapped, frustration boiling over. "Every energy grid, every communication line. They are probing, analyzing, and we cannot stop them. If we do not act, they will unravel what we have built. Pressing the button may destroy us before we understand what they are truly doing." This time they would attempt to interface with one of Zyphara Prime's largest energy nodes, a core that powered a major sector of the planet. A delicate maneuver, for any mistake could trigger defensive systems, but the humans worked with calm precision. Myra instructed the crew. "This is not about control. It is about understanding and demonstration. Every system we touch should show them what humans can achieve without destruction." When it connected to the energy node, it began a silent transformation. Minor adjustments, recalibrations, and efficiency enhancements that made the node operate more smoothly than it ever had. Back in the council chamber, the changes were immediately apparent. Energy readings were stable, yet more efficient than before. Counselors whispered in disbelief. "This cannot be," Thrin muttered. "The node is functioning beyond our projections. How?" "Their intelligence allows them to see solutions we could not, even with centuries of experience. And they will see that humans do not rely on power or aggression. We rely on thought, on action, on solving problems where others fail." Every counselor could see that humans had done something remarkable. They had arrived without violence, and yet their presence was transforming the planet in ways the Glorvians could not fully comprehend. Jalen, monitoring the probe's data, turned to Myra. "They're noticing. Sensors indicate hesitation, fear, curiosity. They do not know how to categorize us. We are not predictable. That is our advantage. Intelligence and ingenuity are more powerful than weapons. That is what humans have always done. That is why we survive, why we adapt, why we reach the impossible. We are not just capable, we are transformative." Leixar, finally speaking up to the entire council, said, "Look at what they have done. They have arrived, observed, and improved our systems without aggression. They are teaching us, not threatening. This is a species that cannot be measured by strength alone. But legends of human weakness are strong. How can a minor species achieve so much?" On the Odyssey, Myra smiled at her crew. "They see it now," she said. "Not all of them, but enough. The seed of doubt is planted. The humans are no longer invisible, no longer insignificant. They are here, and they have shown what humans are capable of. And yet they do not fully understand it. That is our edge. We adapt, they react. We learn, they guess. That is human strength." The city lights of Zyphara Prime shimmered beneath her, bright and beautiful. The humans had arrived quietly, yet their presence had already redefined the expectations of the galaxy's oldest and most confident species. The Odyssey remained in orbit, a quiet observer and teacher. The humans had proven that arrival alone could inspire awe, fear, and respect. They had shown that creativity, ingenuity, and courage were weapons more powerful than any laser or warship. And below, in the council chambers, the Glorvians began to see it. Humans were not just a species that had reached their world. They were a species that could change it without force, challenge assumptions without confrontation, and demonstrate brilliance in ways that no one had predicted. The first part of the humans' plan had succeeded. They had arrived, observed, and demonstrated capability. The next step, however, would require even more daring, direct interaction with Scifi Prime's core systems. But for now, the humans had proven the impossible, that the underestimated species of Earth had reached the stars, and were more than anyone had expected. The council chambers of Scifi Prime were tense, unlike anything the Glorvians had ever experienced. For centuries, the High Council had ruled with certainty. Every system, every law, every defense was precise and unquestioned. But now that certainty was cracking. Humans had arrived, and their actions had shaken the foundation of everything the Council believed. They had not attacked, they had not demanded anything, yet their presence alone had created fear and awe. Councillor Thrin slammed his staff against the polished floor. Enough! They are everywhere. Their probes infiltrate our systems. Our energy grids, our communication networks, they are observing, improving, and we cannot stop them. The human audacity is intolerable. We cannot know what they might do next. Pressing the forbidden button may destroy us before we even understand them. It was the only way they could think to regain control. The idea of a primitive species challenging their supremacy was intolerable. Below, on the Odyssey, the crew sensed a sudden shift in the planet's energy systems. The humans were attuned to patterns, fluctuations, and anomalies in ways the aliens had not imagined. Liara frowned at her console. Energy spikes detected. Something is changing in the core systems. It's deliberate and massive. Then it intensified, a deep resonance that seemed to ripple through the planet and even into space. The Glorvians expected destruction. They expected chaos. But the humans were prepared, not for a fight, but for transformation. The forbidden button, as legend described, was not a weapon in the traditional sense. It was a vast, ancient system buried deep within Scifi Prime, designed to connect the planet's energy, data, and technology into a single, unified network. The Council had long called it forbidden because of its unpredictable potential. Even the architects had admitted they could not fully control it. When activated, it could overwhelm any system, destroy infrastructure, or even destabilize the planet. Humans, however, were not just observers. They were problem solvers. When the energy pulse spread, the Odyssey's AI and crew immediately began analyzing the patterns. Data flowed faster than any Glorvian system could process. Within minutes, the humans had established a connection to the network, not to dominate, but to understand and harmonize. Jalen leaned over his console, awe in his eyes. They've triggered it, but it's not destroying anything. It's alive. It's a network of knowledge, energy, and control, and we can interface with it. The button was meant to be destructive, but it is also a massive repository of information. We can stabilize it, optimize it, and demonstrate to the Glorvians what humans are capable of, without harming anyone. We will give them something entirely unexpected, intelligence guided by purpose. Why is it functioning differently? Energy that had fluctuated unpredictably now flowed smoothly, efficiently, and safely. Communication relays improved, traffic optimized, and planetary defense grids recalibrated, not for war but for stability. Thrin's face turned pale. Impossible. The button was meant to annihilate anything that tampered with it. They do not force systems. They do not fight them. They understand them. Their intelligence allows them to adapt to chaos and create order even where we would fail. They will never anticipate it. Some members were terrified, fearing that humans had gained control over systems they could not reclaim. Others were in awe, realizing that the species they had dismissed as primitive had just accomplished what their most advanced engineers could not: control the forbidden button without destruction. Leixar, who had watched the humans' methods with growing respect, spoke again. They do not conquer, they improve. They do not threaten. They harmonize. This is what humans have always done. They survive, they adapt, they create solutions no one else can imagine. They have used the forbidden to create, not destroy. Jalen spoke quietly. They are witnessing human problem-solving in real time. Every system we touch, every inefficiency we correct, shows them what humans can do. And they cannot stop it. They cannot even fully comprehend it. We are here to show that ingenuity, intelligence, and determination surpass fear, tradition, and brute force. And that is why humans are different. They do not need weapons to prove themselves. Their minds, their creativity, their courage, these are the tools that define their power. Communications were seamless, energy grids efficient, and planetary infrastructure optimized in ways that preserved stability and safety. The council was silent. Even Thrin could not speak. The humans had arrived, and they had transformed the planet without firing a single weapon. On the Odyssey, Myra looked at her crew. They saw the impossible. They expected disaster, but we gave them order. They expected chaos, but we gave them understanding. That is human ingenuity in action. That is humanity at its best. The forbidden button was meant to frighten, to destroy, to end threats. Instead, it revealed what humans are capable of. That is a lesson no Glorvian will forget. Others, though still fearful, could not deny the truth. Humans had arrived, mastered a system they could not control, and done so with wisdom and restraint. Leixar spoke quietly, almost to himself. They are not a threat to conquer. They are a species to respect, to understand. They are humanity. And they had done it in a way that none of the Glorvians had expected or believed possible. Myra smiled at the observation window. This is only the beginning. They have seen what humans can do. And soon they will understand that the true power of humanity is not in weapons, not in size or strength, but in ingenuity, creativity, and courage. And somewhere deep in the systems of Zyphara Prime, a quiet voice of understanding whispered. Humanity was not just capable, they were extraordinary. The Odyssey hovered silently over Zyphara Prime, the planet now quiet yet buzzing with unseen energy. Humans had done what no one thought possible. They had arrived, interacted with the planet's systems, and even survived the activation of the forbidden button. The energy network, once feared as a weapon of destruction, now pulsed in perfect harmony, stabilized and improved by human ingenuity. The council below could no longer hide their astonishment, and some even began to see the humans not as intruders, but as partners, teachers, and equals in intelligence. Myra Holden stood at the observation window of the Odyssey, looking down at the glowing towers and humming energy grids. Her crew worked in calm efficiency, analyzing data, monitoring communications, and preparing for the next phase. Humanity had never sought conquest. Their goal was understanding, demonstration, and proving that their species, long underestimated, could rise above expectation. They are watching us now, Liara said quietly, her eyes on the console. The council is silent, observing every move. They cannot deny what we have done, but I think some of them are beginning to respect it. Not by fighting the strongest, but by being cleverer, braver, and more determined. The galaxy may not have believed it, but now they are learning. Humanity has arrived. Some members still struggled with the idea that a minor species from a distant, insignificant planet had achieved what they themselves had not in centuries. Others, like Leixar, the young engineer, recognized the profound truth. Humans were not just clever, they were extraordinary. Leixar spoke to the remaining counselors. They have demonstrated skill beyond our expectations. They have used the forbidden button, a mechanism none of us dared manipulate, and instead of destruction, they have brought understanding and stability. This is not weakness. This is genius. We cannot ignore it. We dismissed them, underestimated them, and yet they have done what we could not. They have turned fear into enlightenment. They do not conquer through weapons, but through intelligence, understanding, and action. We cannot deny it. It is time we speak to them, not as conquerors, not as invaders, but as humans who have proven what our species can achieve. Let them see our intentions clearly. We have demonstrated our capabilities to stabilize and improve your systems. We offer knowledge, collaboration, and understanding. Humanity seeks not conflict, but cooperation. This is remarkable. They do not rely solely on strength or tradition. They adapt, they observe, they act, and they succeed where we would fail. That is human ingenuity. Humanity has shown us that intelligence, creativity, and courage are more powerful than arrogance or weapons. We must recognize their achievement. Whispers spread through the populace. Humans had arrived, and they had transformed the planet without conflict. Back on the Odyssey, Myra smiled at the observation window. This is humanity at its finest. We have not fought. We have not destroyed. We have simply used our minds, our understanding, and our ingenuity to demonstrate what humans are capable of, and they have seen it. That is victory. And they will know humans are not to be underestimated. The arrival of humanity had reshaped their perspective, forcing them to recognize that strength is not measured by weapons, but by intelligence, creativity, and the courage to act where others hesitate. Leixar addressed the council with quiet authority. Humanity has shown us that progress does not always come from force. Sometimes it comes from ingenuity, observation, and cooperation. We must not squander this opportunity. They are our equals in understanding, and perhaps even our teachers in ways we cannot yet comprehend. And we will respect the species that has reached us, not through power but through brilliance. True capability lies in thought, in creativity, and in the courage to act beyond expectation. Every interaction reinforced the HFY principle. Humans succeed not by force, but by intelligence, problem-solving, and ingenuity. On Zyphara Prime, the council and the population began to absorb these lessons. Citizens marveled at the efficiency improvements, the stability of infrastructure, and the subtle beauty of the systems humans had touched. They began to understand that the humans were not conquerors. They were innovators, collaborators, and examples of what their species could aspire to be. Myra observed all of this with quiet satisfaction. We have arrived. We have proven that humans are more than the galaxy believed, and we have done it without violence, without threat, without dominance. That is the true meaning of human ingenuity. Other species will hear of the humans who arrived, pressed the forbidden, and reshaped a world through understanding, not destruction. That is a story they cannot ignore. The humans disembarked, not as invaders, but as emissaries of intelligence, collaboration, and human potential. Leixar greeted them with awe. You have changed everything we believed about your species. Your ingenuity, your patience, your understanding. We are humbled. We welcome you not as conquerors, but as equals. Humanity has always believed in progress through knowledge, collaboration, and courage. We have arrived to demonstrate that these values can surpass fear, arrogance, and tradition. Together, we can achieve what none of us could alone. Let this be a new beginning for your species and ours. Conflicts that had once seemed inevitable were avoided, replaced with cooperation and shared knowledge. The Odyssey crew looked out across the city as humans and Glorvians worked together. This is victory, Myra said softly. Not through force, not through fear, but through understanding, intelligence, and courage. This is what humans do best. Humans have arrived not to conquer, but to show what is possible. That is HFY in action, humanity at its finest. Others will see this, learn from it, and perhaps begin to understand that true power lies not in domination, but in thought, ingenuity, and collaboration. They had proven that a species long underestimated could achieve the impossible, not through force, but through intelligence, creativity, and courage. Myra looked at her crew one last time before returning to the Odyssey. We have done what many thought impossible. Humans have arrived, humans have proved themselves, and humans have changed the galaxy without firing a weapon. That is our legacy. They were never meant to arrive like this, Leixar whispered, until the forbidden button was pressed.